In this video, I'll break down two ambush scenarios. One scenario was a success, where the other wasn't so great. Let's take a look at the first. Here I am playing on Livonia at Svarog military base. I've positioned myself near the Quonset hut in a bit of tall grass, with a wall covering my rear. There's a player I've been tracking and watching as he loots and is completely unaware of my presence. I've decided that the right conditions have been met for a good ambush, and I carry through with the attack. Okay, so this one was pretty cut and dry, with a bit of a surprise variable at the end. I laid a near perfect ambush on this player. However, I hadn't accounted for the second player to appear on top of the HQ building's roof. After taking a few shots at the player on the roof, at least one of which was a hit but didn't kill, I reposition and reset. This is a standard procedure which you should be following for a few different reasons. If a player has heard your shots and has a rough idea of where you're firing from, if available, you need to reposition. Your new position should have a visual line of sight from the target's last known location. From there you can reset, gather yourself, reassess the situation, make a plan, and re-attack as necessary. The other reason for repositioning and resetting is there may be other players in the area, especially if it's a military base such as this one. When there's one, there's more. Most players, after getting a kill, would go straight for the player's body and begin looting. This is a bad practice and should be avoided unless you're 100% certain that you are safe to expose yourself from your cover. Now let's take a look at the second scenario. After my encounter with the player who was on the roof of the HQ building, I quickly repositioned. My new position had a direct line of sight on the building's only entrance, which was a set of double doors. This position also had tall grass and several bushes and trees near perfect concealment. This is the kind of area you want to be in to catch someone and lay an ambush on them. The player ended up camping inside the building for what seemed about a half an hour or so. You might think I'm crazy for waiting this long. If I were to rush inside and frontally assault his position, it would be a coin toss scenario. A coin toss scenario is one which neither player has an advantage, so it's a 50-50 chance that either player ends up winning the engagement. So instead of bum rushing your opponent who's fortified his position inside of a building with many rooms, doors, and angles, wait him out. Eventually, he will have to leave or log out. If he logs out, you might miss out on an exciting encounter, but you're still left with your character alive. To me, that's the most important thing about DayZ. Occasionally, I can see the player open the door to the roof and scan around for a few seconds, and then return inside to cover. He does this multiple times. This leaves me without a perfect shot, so I don't take it. Eventually, the target moves from his building and into the L-shaped barracks next to it. I quickly decide that this is my best chance to ambush this player, as he has finally left his cover and will be out in the open and therefore most vulnerable to an attack. Unfortunately, my shots miss, or they only wound him, and he retreats back into the L shape. Here's where my mistakes begin to mount and snowball into a critical failure. Where I once had the advantage of a better firing position from the window, I transitioned to CQB hastily and decided to rush his building. From there, it evolves into the coin toss scenario, where neither of us have a clear advantage. I'll let the rest play out and give some final comments afterwards. I'd like to quickly point out that there appear to be some desync issues with this particular server I was playing on. Notice how when I shoot the zombie, the hits appear way behind it. And also during my final engagement inside the L-shaped barracks, I had already rounded the corner on my screen, yet I was still getting hit. Not blaming it on the lag, but it can make a difference when in a firefight like this one. Let's wrap this up. Ambush a player only when they will be most vulnerable, and you have a clear advantage in position and cover. Decide what level of risk you are willing to accept and set a limit. Don't go over it. If you fail or if something goes wrong, reposition and reset. Don't be hasty when forming a plan to engage an enemy, but also be ready for that plan to fail or change as necessary. Don't be afraid to retreat or disengage from an encounter that is going poorly. Think ahead, and remember your survival is the biggest priority. If you're not dead yet, you're still winning. A lot of terms and theory I use in this video have been dubbed by Vigilante Gamer, who I draw heavy inspiration from. Credits to him for having such an outstanding play style and understanding of DayZ and the game theory that he adapts. Please be sure to check him out if you enjoyed this video. Thank you.